Welcome to the 2022 Maui County candidate interviews. Today we have with us Nara Boone, who is running for County Council for Maui, for Paia, Kahului, and Makawao. Nara, nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Nice to be here. It's Makawao-Haiku Paia.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nara, could you just start by giving our audience an overview of introduce yourself, your background,
Sure.
your civic engagement, and also why you're running, why you feel it's important to run at this time?
Okay. So my background is I grew up in haiku. My family's been here going on 44 years now. I'm part of a large family. We grew up really poor. We had to make things work. It was always a struggle. I watched that with my parents, with all of us. But no matter what, my parents always managed to make helping the community a priority. And so that's just simply how I was brought up. I am a singer and a voice teacher, and I teach in the schools. I teach music at haiku school and roots, and right now at the Seaberry Summer Program as well. When I first moved back to Maui after college, I worked with Maui Youth and Family Services as a home hospital instructor. And I did that for several years, even after I landed a great singing job at the show Ulalena. Let's see, I have performed for many benefits over all the years for women helping women. The most recent one was for the big benefit we had for Ukraine. And that was really amazing to raise a lot of money and to help out that way. My mother was a midwife, and I used to assist births with her. I don't think there's much that's maybe more important than how we actually come into the world. And so that's always been kind of a sacred thing to me, and an important thing and a real honor to be involved in. I do a lot of school volunteering for haiku school. I was the co-vice president of the PTA for 2 years there as well. And I would always be the sound person for all of the events that haiku school would have, like the fun run and other things that would raise the money for the essential programs that the school would carry. And that's how they'd pay for them. So I'd help with all of that.
And if you could just explain a little bit more about what exactly you do in terms of your training or teaching that you do with voice, and how does that translate to what you're looking at doing in terms of service here in the community?
What I do with voice maybe seems like a trivial thing or a hobby or a pastime for people, just a fun pastime. The reality of it is that it's far deeper than that. We are born with this incredible instrument, and so many of us are stifled in using it in many ways. If we grow up with trauma, if we grow up with abuse, if we grow up with a little bratty kid or a teacher that said, you suck, you can't sing, that stays with people. It stays with people for decades. And what I do in my teaching is I help give them their voice back. I help them stand in their power. I help them maybe regain what they sometimes don't even realize they've lost in their voices, which then translates to their outside world, being able to ask for things that they need, being able to stand up for themselves. That is something that I have a voice I'm not afraid to use. You know, I've been helping people for a long time. I've also been hearing the cries for help for a long time. And I want to help project those voices to be heard in the right way and hopefully be able to give some assistance.
So how could you help then our community to have a voice
Yeah.
And, and how would you translate that, the work that you've been doing so passionately for people? How would you translate that to our community?
Listen, that's the first part. That's the first part. I am of this community. I'm experiencing what many of them are experiencing. I have boxes that are still packed after a year. I am again looking for another place to live, like so many others, and finding it nearly impossible. So listening to people's needs, and if I'm elected, then being able to speak with and work with the right people to actually make change happen. But I think that listening is actually, listening is half of learning, really. So that's a big part of it.
Great, thank you. Next, we'll have Anne Cathleen. We'll ask the next questions.
Hi, Anne.
Aloha. Aloha, Nara. Good to see you. Yeah,
You too.
you mentioned that you're in a housing crisis, which a lot of people are facing. And then do you see, what are a few other issues that you're really passionate about? And to follow up, what are issues that you see more of a priority in the area that you live? You live in Haiku, but also Makawao-Paia-Haiku.
Yeah. So the housing is a huge one.
Yeah.
I think all things are tied together with the issues that Maui County has, with Makawao-Haiku-Paia being able to afford to live here, which causes stress, which can cause, problems in the home, which can cause elevated levels of domestic violence, which can cause all kinds of different issues of homelessness and other things, houselessness, when your home is not safe. So it's all intertwined. Mental health is a big one, especially if you're driving through Paia these days. You see it. Haiku, same thing. The area near Colleen's and Haiku Grocery. So those are definitely big concerns of mine. Another concern I have it feels like our open spaces are shrinking. I had a situation recently where I needed to clear my head. I needed to go look at the horizon and just be in nature. And, excuse me, all of the places that I used to go to find peace are privatized and no longer available to me. I know that there are other areas that experience this exact same thing. I know South Maui is experiencing it. I know West Maui is experiencing it. I know my own two boys can't go visit the stream, Waihe'e stream, where their grandmother's ashes are scattered because it's privatized. That's a big deal to me. What's happening at Giggle Hill is a big deal to me. And it's very important that we long-term residents of these islands are not squeezed out into minuscule areas, which really feels like it's happening now.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm passionate about this.
That Giggle Hill is 214 acres.
Yeah.
Vast land parcels. I mean, being
Right.
sold.
Right.
Private.
And then you go, how are the roads going to handle that? How's the traffic going to be? How is it going to be with more people on the road trying to get into Makawao? And if you're trying to get your kids to Makawao, you have to leave at a certain time. If you're 3 minutes later, you're sitting in traffic for 10 minutes. It's already
infrastructure, right?
Big time. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
Great.
Yes.
Next, we'll have Alan Lloyd.
You're muted.
I know, I unmuted.
There you are.
and it didn't work. Hello.
Hi, Alan.
Hi. So I have two questions.
Yes.
So my first one is, what do you think the legal minimum wage should be in 2022 this year?
Ooh, the legal minimum wage. if it was realistic, just for a 2 adults, 2 child family, I was looking this up earlier, the self-sufficiency income standard is over $40 an hour is what needs to be earned in that case. A single mother with 1 child needs to earn about $29 an hour. That's nowhere near what's happening. So it definitely needs to be a lot higher than it is right now.
And what do you think it should be this year?
Oh, realistically, if I could wave that magic wand, my gut right now says at least $20 an hour, at least.
Okay. And then my next question is, will you work as a county council member to increase the current minimum wage to at least $20 an hour?
As much as I can. Yeah.
And
so
find ways to do that.
Yeah. So the county doesn't have say over the minimum wage, so that would be more of working at the state level, communicating with the state on that. I know that eventually the minimum wage is going to be $18 an hour, and it is already it's already too late for it to be $18 an hour. The pressure on everyone, on many people here is just too much. What I would like to see happen would be something like on the county level that we pay county workers as much as $20 an hour, that we make sure on the county level that county workers, women, are earning an equal wage with their male counterparts. Those are things that we could do. It's my belief anyway.
And what about people who contract, nonprofits or for-profits that contract with the county? Should their workers be making $20 an hour?
I think so. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great, Nara. I'll ask the next question. And it has to do with our utilities that we have. Right now, we're paying some of the highest rates in the nation for our electricity. We have a private company that oversees our electric and its distribution. And yet, when you compare that to Kauai, they have the lowest right now rate, and they are a community cooperative. So what are your thoughts about supporting our efforts to change our electric distribution system from private corporations to more of a publicly owned and operated cooperative?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, I definitely support that. I also, look around and I see the abundance that is this beautiful place that we live. We have wind, we have sun, we have water, we have so many other ways to get our energy as well. So yes, a co-op, definitely. I also feel like too much of the islands is privatized already.
Great. So let me follow up on a question around privatization. That certainly is tied into our tourism industry that we have here.
Okay.
And what would be your suggestions in terms of tourism management or helping to deal with then our carrying capacity that we have here in Maui County? It was originally set at about 33%, and it certainly is exceeding that at this time.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on how to deal with this issue?
My first thought is that we missed a beautiful opportunity when everything was shut down during the pandemic. I would like to see the limiting of flights here, the limiting of availability. I don't think that we need to advertise low fares. I think that I'm really happy with the capping of the transient accommodations, and I'm excited for the new bill that was introduced that includes camper vans. I think that there are other ways that we can incorporate tourists into our lives without depleting the beauty that is this place. And education is a big one. We have a lot of talented people here. I know because I was part of a show where tourists came in, but also schools came from the outer islands to view the history and the myths and legends of this place. And they would leave with a better understanding of Hawaiian culture. So would the tourists. And I had many tell me, I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty just being here. I think that a lot of people are just ignorant. They think it's beautiful beaches. And if we give them a little bit more information about what this place truly is and the history of it, they would have a different attitude as well and a higher level of respect.
So with that, would that include some level of engagement and participation around our culture and
Oh,
maybe,
absolutely.
working? So how would that translate? Because right now some of the hotels are having some programs. What would you
Yeah.
suggest
Mm-hmm.
along that line?
Yeah, I love how some of the halaus are having their practices at the hotels. I love that because it's not the commercialized luau, it's a history. I would love to see more of that. We have so much talent here that's not tapped into or is just used to cater for beautiful dancers and not educating as much. Another thing I was reading up on the community plan for the Paia-Haiku community plan. I was blown away, even though I grew up here, to know about all of these different historical sites that aren't labeled in our area. I think that would be incredible to educate people as well. And then, of course, there's working in the taro patches, working in the fish ponds, going into the forest, all of that too.
Great. Thank you, Nara. Anne, we'll ask the next questions.
Okay, Nara. So I want to address water rights.
Mm-hmm.
Water is still essential for life, right? Whether it's food or
absolutely
farms and what, just life, right? So as you know, the state owns. The state leases has these long-term leases to offshore corporations, Maui Pono, Alexander and Baldwin, and that's the EMI, right? And
mm-hmm.
they've been saying, they were going to buy it. There have been attempts to buy it, and along with the Wailuku Water Company, right? So, what are your feelings on that? What are your thoughts about water rights? Who has the right?
Well, the water's public, right?
Right.
The water should be everyone's right. As far as the delivery system, I think that should be in control. The county should have control of that. Again, it's the privatization. And in a lot of ways, it's the grief caused by greed. I think that's what a lot of us are feeling in many different ways. And I would love for taro farmers and other farmers to have access to what is their right. So I do think the county should take that over.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. We'll have Alan next.
All right. My mute button just keeps dancing around. Okay. So I have a two-part question. The first part is, what are your thoughts about, so background first. As we know, rents are increasing and continue to increase. A room in a house is $1,350, a one bedroom is $15 or $16, a two bedroom is $2,000 to $2,500. So what are your thoughts about commercial and residential rent control? And I bring in commercial rent control because many small businesses can't afford the rents. And when they do get in, especially what happened during the pandemic, is that their rents went up when they were coming back. Mm-hmm. And so they couldn't afford to come back to the space. And for many commercial enterprises, rent can be either the first cost or the second cost. So what's your thoughts about commercial and residential rent control?
Yeah, I think we need some kind of control happening here. Things are spiraling definitely in the opposite direction. I do think that a couple different things, but I would love to see some kind of cap on what can be charged for per room on a house. And I know that as a business, you can't control the business, but you can control the land use. So I would like to see that happen. Also, as far as housing, the extra bills that come on top of that, the maintenance fees and the different housing association fees and that kind of thing, I would like to see those perhaps lower or have some kind of cap as well. As small businesses, I have several sisters that have small businesses. My voice teaching is that to some degree. And the thing that my sisters have done is they've had to go sell in the hotels because they couldn't afford the rent of their own brick and mortar, or just do online as well.
Okay, so what's your feeling about commercial rent control for those that are in the brick and mortar settings?
Yeah, there should be rent control. But the other thing that I think about is the fact that we have so many empty buildings. If you look at Dairy Road, was that Maui Marketplace? Or even the mall. And I remember wondering when they're building Target and all of this other stuff, why are they building that when that is empty? I would love to see some kind of tax or something happen with empty buildings that just sit empty, that the rents are too high for those of us to have our businesses in, as well as the same thing, I think, for housing, with 1 in 5 homes being empty. That should not be. There should be some way to get people in there. And some of the reason why some of them are empty is because the rents are just outrageous. I saw one the other day for $6,000. And the other thing that I see, and I wish that there was a way that I see people saying, hold strong, Maui, hold strong, don't rent. You see these prices, they're not going to use us to pay their mortgage. Just hold strong and don't pay that. But that's unrealistic when so many of us just need a place to lay our heads, a place that's safe. So I think rent control to some degree, or extra taxes, property taxes, would be a good thing.
Okay, thank you. And then I have one follow-up. Since it sounds like you have a child, and I have heard that it's difficult for adults with children to find rentals because of people don't want to have children in rentals. And I know that's an issue. So
yes.
what's your thoughts about how to deal with that issue?
Well, first of all, it's discrimination. I have 3 children and I have pets, and it's nearly impossible to find a place to live. It's definitely discrimination. Unless the landlord lives on the property, then they have a right to say who they want on their land as far as the amount of people. What was the other half of that question, please?
How would you deal? What kinds of policy thoughts do you have about how to deal with discrimination? I mean, we have a housing department, but I don't know if they enforce discrimination or not. Mm-hmm. So what would your thoughts about how to deal with that issue?
Other than reporting it, I'm not really sure. I would like to see other things happen as far as vacation rentals. I have sisters that have vacation rentals on 3 sides of them, and they live less than half a mile from haiku school. There should be families in those homes. Children should be able to walk to school, just like I did when I grew up right across the street from that area. The parents would save on gas money. The parents would save on bus fare. That's another thing that I would love to see happen, is a limit. I know there's a general cap, but I would like to see a limit on transient accommodations within certain distances from schools.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Nara, I'll ask the next question.
Yeah.
And it's about this crisis we're facing right now in our community around affordable housing. And certainly you've mentioned aspects of that already.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to ask questions about what the county could do. And if you were a county council member, how would you help facilitate that issue in terms of getting properties built that are affordable? And we're talking affordable for that 0 to 140% AMI, the average medium income. If we're looking at then having some type of financial support or some type of thing, how would that work, and what would your vision be about how that could be handled by the county?
So thanks for that. My first instinct is to say that I know that Gabe Johnson, I believe, is working on getting a lowered AMI that really reflects long-term residents' incomes and not just the incomes of, it's inflated because of the influx of people that we've had in the last couple of years that have these high-paying tech and other jobs. So I would like to see a more realistic AMI to begin with. I was really excited when I first read Bill 111 that talks about a lottery system for housing, but gives priority to the longest standing residents. That was one of the first kernels of hope I've felt in a while here. I would like to see more things like that. I would like to see rent to own happening a lot more here as well. As far as the cost of building housing, is that what you had added in there as well?
Yes, it's not only the cost, but it's people home ownership, private ownership, but also rentals also.
Sorry, I'm not quite understanding the question. Can you? Oh, you just muted.
How can the county help facilitate more housing that's affordable for the residents? And that includes both rental and purchasing properties also.
Well, I'm not sure if it's a county thing. I think statewide, I would like to see a moratorium on the purchasing of homes, second, third, fourth homes. I was really happy to know about the, I'm about to misspeak, I believe, the transient accommodation moratorium. That was a big one for me. Let me just take a quick look at my notes. Yeah, I think that I need to do a little bit more research on it to answer your question fully. But as far as the cost of renting and building, I would like to see us use the products that we can create here, like hemp, like bamboo. We can use reclaimed, wastewater and that kind of thing, and create our own building materials. That would definitely lower the cost, I think. You're muted again. Sorry.
Let me ask another question along that line. And, in terms of what the county would need to help subsidize, again, we're talking about that 0 to 140% AMI. And so that's a large population, and they need subsidies. They need some support by the community, by taxpayers, by bonds, all different mechanisms, though. And if they are then get the lottery where they are then a homeowner, do you feel that that should then go back to market value at some point in time, or should it be affordable in perpetuity like the Nohali O'Malley model?
In perpetuity, because the cost of living is only going to get higher here. I I was reading that Paia-Haiku community plan, and I guess in the intro, maybe it said that it was written in the early 90s. And I was like, wait, has it been updated? Because these are all the same issues. Affordable housing for residents, the influx of transient housing. It was all the short-term rentals. It was all the same issues. And so the only way that we can really secure that our residents can put down firm roots and not have to worry would be if there was in perpetuity.
Great. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Anne, you'll be next.
Hi again. I want to
Hi.
talk about diversifying our economy to transition from a tourist-based economy, which has been a good part of our history,
Yeah.
to diversifying another form. What if you could plan, if you were a county council member, what would your planning be based on? Like what types of industries
Okay.
would you consider?
I would look at all of those industries that we fly people in here for. And I would have more nursing courses, trainings on island. I know there's one at Kula Hospital. I would look into more of those. All of us are just getting older if we're lucky. You know, kupuna care is a big one. So that's one thing. There are so many brilliant minds here that fly off for education and then don't come back because the jobs are not here for them. I would like to see diversification of having more teachers here, even if it's something like giving the teachers housing or discounted housing or something like that. All of these teachers fly in from the mainland, they get culture shock, they get sticker shock, they stay for about a year, and then they take off. So that's another one. You know, we need a lot of engineers here. I have engineers in my family. I have a nephew who's actually here interning for the summer as an engineer. Again, that's another one. I would like to see also things like food hubs happen. Those have so many different angles to them, whether it would be like a food hub co-op where a couple of acres of land are leased to a farmer who maybe all of the heavy equipment is already there and they can schedule when they use it, but everyone gets to use it on their parcel. And then from there, you know, harvesting seeds from what they plant, they can ship the seeds, they can sell the product, they can have food trucks and different things. Tourists can come and check out, you know, all the great food and all the great produce that was grown here that creates a more sustainable environment for all of us. Those are some of the things.
How do you feel about Maui Pono? Do you support that type of model of farming?
It's so interesting. It's a complicated dynamic. You know, it really is. I know that their potatoes are not GMO. I also know that I grew up next to a pineapple field and my mother died of lung cancer, having never smoked a day in her life. So I wonder what's in the soil still and how far down they test. That's something I would be interested in. Now, that being said, sometimes food is food. Sometimes it's better that as long as it's not GMO. I would prefer organic. I would prefer on very healthy, rich, you know, not depleted soil. So I do have mixed feelings. It's lovely to see green fields again and know that food is being grown there. I will say that.
Grown here, not flown here.
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
Put that on the food and not just the bumper stickers.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you, Nara.
Mm-hmm.
And Alan will be next.
It worked. Okay.
Yay.
So, yay. So what would you like to accomplish as a newly elected county council member in your first 100 days?
Oh, in my first 100 days. in those first 100 days, I want to hear from the community. In just the few days since I announced that I'm officially running. And I don't think that I mentioned that I was asked to run. And so this wasn't something that was on my radar. I just normally help people anyway and pick up trash every time I hike and whatever else. In my first 100 days, I would like to get some kind of momentum going towards helping families, towards helping single mothers. I think the pandemic has shown a huge weight stands on the shoulders of women and mothers in particular to hold everything together and to homeschool and work and bring in money. And emotional stability, which is a big one because we're only as healthy as our mothers and our children. So I would focus on them. I also would like to compile a team to research creating a birth center here. During the pandemic, it became very obvious when a lot of mothers, expectant mothers, were afraid to go to the hospital because of just COVID, and not being able to have their spouse there. And then all the midwives on the island were already booked. And there were a lot of women that were maybe perhaps deprived of the birth that they wanted. I would like to see a birth center happen where doctors and midwives work together and honor the women that are giving birth the way they want to give birth. And I would like that to have a breast milk bank as well. I think that this formula shortage that's happened makes it glaringly obvious that something like that would be good. So I really want to be a champion of families, and that would be my immediate focus. How to get us moving towards thriving and not just surviving here.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Nara, I'll be asking the last question.
Okay.
And you're running for a seat that involves the entire county. Mm-hmm. So by the way, all those who are watching, that all of you can vote for Nara or any of the county council members, but just one per district. So we have all these different districts that have a lot of different issues. What are some of the key issues maybe in some of the other communities that we haven't covered that mm-hmm. you feel need to be addressed?
Whew. I think we need to do something with the flooding situation in Kihei. That's a big one. And it's always shocking to see. You think of Kihei as dry, but I would like to see some dealing with the drainage system. I would like to see the drainage system updated. And, there's the Kihei Drainage Master Plan Ecological Alternatives Analysis. And there's other studies that show things like upgrading the drainage system, along with in the wetlands planting like vetiver to hold the water back. Vetiver is kind of amazing in a lot of ways, but that is one thing. The other thing that I'm concerned about actually with Lahaina is their reclaimed water system and the amount of salt in the system and why it's not more available to more residents to use as well, the salinity of it. I think that the homeless issue, I wish I knew more about the other islands. And again, I only agreed to run just a couple of weeks ago. So I'm doing a lot of research, and there's more that I need to know, and I'll get there. But the homeless issue is all over, and there are many different reasons for it. I think that one of the things is this culture that we have had for many years now of servitude, that the people of Hawaii are here to serve the tourists. And with that servitude comes monotony and a desire for something more, which for some leads to drug use, I graduated from St. Anthony, and when I played basketball there, we would fly to Lanai. And at that time, ice was a big thing there. But it was the monotony of working in the hotels and working in the plantations, and that was it. And so people needed an escape, and that's what it was. The drug use leads to homelessness, so for many. So those are kind of universal issues on that side of things.
Nara, thank you for these responses. And is there anything else that we haven't covered that you'd like our viewers to know at this point in time?
I would like to say I left out the other part of diversifying for here. I have a brother that's a ranger, a park ranger, and he worked for many years in Volcano National Park and Haleakala. And he had to recently move off island in order to gain seniority. I would like to see the practice of organizations here, businesses, hiring from within first. That's one way that we strengthen the people of the islands. We recognize their worth and we pay them for it.
Nara, thank you so much for this interview. It was wonderful having you with us. And again, as a reminder for all our viewers that you can vote countywide for this particular county seat. So again, please consider them, all our candidates that are running for county council. And you can get more information if you're on Facebook Live. You can go to Maui Pono Network.org and also on Akaku Channel 54 for more of the interviews. Mahalo.
Thank you so much for having me. Aloha.